It is a time of legend. Mighty heroes battle for the right to rule the galaxy. The vast armies of the Emperor of Earth have conquered the galaxy in a great crusade. The myriad alien races have been smashed by the Emperor's elite warriors and wiped from the face of history. The dawn of a new age of supremacy for humanity beckons. Gleaming citadels of marble and gold celebrate the many victories of the Emperor. Triumphs are raised on a million worlds to record the epic deeds of his most powerful and deadly warriors. First and foremost amongst these are the Primarchs, superheroic beings who have led the Emperor's armies of Space Marines in victory after victory. They are unstoppable and magnificent, the pinnacle of the Emperor's genetic experimentation. The Space Marines are the mightiest human warriors the galaxy has ever known, each capable of besting 100 normal men or more in combat. Organized into vast armies of tens of thousands called legions, the Space Marines and their Primarch leaders conquer the galaxy in the name of the Emperor. Chief amongst the Primarchs is Horus, called the Glorious, the brightest star, favorite of the Emperor, and like a son unto him. He is the Warmaster, the commander-in-chief of the Emperor's military might, subjugator of 1,000 worlds, and conqueror of the galaxy. He is a warrior without peer, a diplomat supreme. And this is where our story begins. The 63rd Expedition was preparing for war. Deep within the Warmaster's flagship, the embarkation decks roared with movement. Cargo lifters trundled past, the air thick with the smell of oil, heat and exhaust fumes. This was where the remembrancers, Imperial chroniclers, poets and imagists had been allowed to walk. These civilians traveled with the Great Crusade to record its glories and spread its truth across the Imperium. Among them was Euphrati Keeler, a gifted imagist with a sharp eye for detail and an even sharper disregard for rules. Keeler broke away often to capture what mattered: candid moments, real work, not staged propaganda. Before them stood the Stormbirds, massive, void-capable assault craft, each painted white and marked with the snarling wolf's head and the eye of Horus. These weren't the common Thunderhawks most forces used. These were ancient, heavy-duty machines, veterans of Terra's own wars. They had carried the Lunar Wolves into battle since before the Crusade even began. The first sound was a distant, metallic drum beat, felt in the deck plates before it was heard. It grew louder, heavier, until the far doors filled with a column of giants. 300 Lunar Wolves, marching in perfect unison. Their white armor gleamed under the deck lights. Every step landed in time, every movement mirrored. At their head, the banner of the 10th Company rippled. The remembrances fell silent. These were not men as they knew them. They were something more. Before each battle, the Astartes renewed their loyalty in an oath of moment, a pledge tailored to the mission ahead. Though sworn for life to the Emperor, this oath bound them to the purpose of a single battle. At the head of one company moved Captain Garviel Loken, fair-haired, pale-skinned, his grey eyes missed nothing. Rumor placed him among the Mournival, the Warmaster's inner circle of trusted captains. When his men boarded, Loken stepped forward and knelt. Before him stood the Mournival, Abaddon, the first captain, broad and intense, Torgadon, quick with a grin, Aximand, measured and precise, and alongside them, Captains Sedarai and Targost. Sedarai unrolled the parchment and read, "Do you, Garviel Loken, promise to lead your men into the zone of war and conduct them to glory, no matter the ferocity or ingenuity of the foe? Do you swear to crush the insurgents of 6319 and to do honor to the 16th Legion and the Emperor?" Loken placed his hand on the weapon offered. "On this matter and by this weapon, I swear." Keeler caught the moment. Loken kneeling, the captains standing around him, the banner behind. It was perfect. Later, primary iterator Kyril Sindaman sought out Keeler. He was an older man, a scholar, and one of the Emperor's most articulate voices. Reviewing her picts, he stopped at the image of Loken's oath. To Sindaman, remembrancers were not decoration. They were witnesses to history, ensuring the Imperium remembered not just its victories, but the truth of how they were won. Then Malagurst, the Warmaster's equerry, arrived with surprising news. The remembrancers would be permitted to accompany the strike force to the surface. Dangerous, yes. But Sindaman believed that victory meant more when the truth was seen. From the observation deck, they watched the Stormbirds dive from the flagship's launch bays, angling toward the planet below. On the lead craft, Loken walked the central aisle, past the silent, helmeted warriors of the Lunar Wolves. In the cockpit, he questioned the crew about Vox interference. The pilots confirmed it, static and ghosting, like faint voices buried in the noise. Then the signal cleared and the voice emerged. It spoke of Samus, the end and the death. Samus will gnaw upon your bones. Samus is here. The capital of 6319 lay subdued under Imperial banners. The planet's ruler, a defiant warlord, had been removed. Now, Imperial iterators taught the people the truth of the Imperium, and the Lunar Wolves patrolled the streets. Remembrancers walked the avenues, capturing the strange stillness after conquest. Poet Ignis Carcassy, more cynical than most, muttered about the gap between propaganda and reality. Back aboard the flagship, Loken attended a briefing. At the center was the Warmaster himself, Horus Lupercal, tall, commanding, every word heavy with charisma. The Mournival flanked him, each captain bringing a different voice. Abaddon's blunt force, Torgadon's humor, Aximan's precision, Loken's moral balance. Together, they discussed the remnants of resistance. The name Samus surfaced again. Horus ordered Loken to lead an expedition and put an end to it, once and for all. The Lunar Wolves deployed into dense wilderness zones, their armor pale against the dark alien terrain. What they found was stranger than expected, scattered human forces, but with an air of unnatural frenzy. And always the whispers of Samus, carried on the wind, in the comms, and, some swore, in their own minds. As the battles mounted, the enemy revealed its true nature. These were not merely rebels. Some seemed twisted in form, others unnaturally strong or fast. One warrior, separated from his squad, reported hearing a voice behind him say, "Samus is the man beside you." But when he turned, no one was there. The fighting reached its peak at the edges of the wilds. The Lunar Wolves met the enemy head-on, bolters roaring, chainswords screaming. The creature Samus was an abomination of a creature, if you could call it a creature. Loken and his company of Lunar Wolves dispatched of the vile warp demon, to the utter horror of the Remembrancers. Discipline and firepower carried the day, but the strangeness of the foe left its mark. Even in victory, the name Samus lingered like a stain. Piecing together the reports, Loken began to understand. Samus was not a person. It was something else. An entity that could move between hosts, whispering into their minds, driving them to murder. It was the first time Loken truly considered that there might be threats in the galaxy the Imperium's truth could not explain away. 6319 was declared compliant. The Remembrancers returned with their records. Some were shaken. Others, like Keeler, were simply quiet, their minds turning over the things they had seen and heard. Loken knew the campaign was over on paper, but the memory of that voice and the ease with which it had sown fear stayed with him. In quiet moments, Loken spoke with Cinderman about what had happened. The Iterator admitted there were things even Imperial reason could not yet account for. Keela began to dream. Vivid, unsettling visions she could not explain. The conquest was over, but something had been left behind, unseen. The 63rd Expedition prepared to move on, its ships turning toward the next campaign. Horus was confident, his legion strong, his faith in victory absolute. But for those who had walked the forests of 6319 and heard the name Samus, the journey ahead felt subtly, imperceptibly different. The seeds of heresy had been planted. No one yet realized how deep they would grow. And so, the 63rd Expedition moved on, banners high, engines burning bright in the void. The planet below lay silent, its ruler gone, its people bent to imperial rule. But in the minds of some, in the dreams of others, the name still echoed. Samus. The end and the death. A whisper that should have died with the battle still drifted through the quiet corners of the fleet. None of them knew it yet, but this was only the first shadow, the first hint that the Great Crusade's path would not end in glory, but in something far darker.